Hello friends, welcome to another video. Today's review is House of Breath and Sky, a Crescent City novel by Sarah J. Maas. It is book 2 of the Crescent City series. I love that this one's in blue, where the first one was in, what color was the first one? Where is it? It was red and white. I got it there behind me. I literally devoured this in a weekend. I absolutely love Sarah J. Maas. If you watched the first video, you will know that. If you've watched my other review for her, which one is it now? The last one in the ACOTAR series, for A Court of Silver Flames. That's the one. A Court of Silver Flames for Nesta. And I absolutely love that one too. Obviously, I'm not going to review her other stuff because I've already read it. But now I've marked this one as mine because I love these books. I will never, ever, ever... It's kind of hard to see. Oh, my wheelie chair is rolling backwards. This one is also with the crescent on the front and the blue and white and the pretty on the inside and a map of Crescent City, which is also in the first one, and I didn't realize. I am absolutely terrible. Now let's center that because, yeah. But it lists all the important parts. Lunatheon is Lunatheon is the real name of Crescent City, but everyone just calls it Crescent City because of the way the river is a crescent through the city. Duh. I will read the inside cover. Spoilers if you have not read the first one. The deadliest power, the fiercest passion, the cruelest fate. Bryce Quinlan and Hunt Athalar are trying to get back to normal. They may have saved Crescent City, but with so much upheaval in their lives lately, they mostly want a chance to relax, slow down, figure out what the future holds. The Asteri have kept their word so far, leaving Bryce and Hunt alone. But with the rebels chipping away at the Asteri's power, the threat the rulers pose is growing. As Bryce, Hunt, and their friends get pulled into the rebels' plans, the choice becomes clear. Stay silent while others are oppressed, or fight for what's right. And they've never been very good at staying silent. So again, this one is 18 plus. There is definitely sex scenes in it. Not really smut, but definitely smut. Fairy smut. But it is way more complex than that. Sarah J. Maas is so good with her plots and making the story complex and interesting. And like I said, I literally devoured this book in 2 days. 3 days, 2.5 days. So good. So I wrote them down this time. If you watched the last video, I forgot to write the characters' names down. Silly me. So the main characters are obviously Bryce and Hunt. Bryce's brother Rune and her two best friends Fury and Juniper. And then Rune's closest friends, Declan and Flynn. And then Ithan he was one of, and I should mention Danica, obviously. She's the main, she was Bryce's best friend. Spoilers if you have not watched the first review. Danica is the reason for all of this starting in the first place, because right at the beginning of the first book, she gets murdered. Ithan, she's a wolf shifter, and Ithan was part of her pack. Then we have their friend Therion, who is a merman shifter, and Hypaxia, who is the queen of the witches. And then Sophie and Cormac. Cormac is Rune and Bryce's cousin from the other Fae elves. They're not elves, they're Fae from across the ocean on the other continent. And there, I forgot to write the other ones down. There's Adis. He's the Prince Adis is one of the princes of the realm of Hell. And as I mentioned in the last book, Hell is actually another world. This series touches on that they can open gates to other worlds, and Hell is one of them. Uh, um, we'll go into some of the... Oh, first we'll mention Celestina and Ephraim are the archangels. Celestina is the one that got hired to replace the one that they got rid of in the first book to run Crescent City. And Ephraim is from a neighboring zone, region, and the Asteri, who are the leaders of the world, tell Ephraim and Celestina that they have to mate because they need more archangels, obviously. Then we have the rebels. The main rebels are going to be Pippa, and the rebels are called Ophion. That's the name they give themselves. Pippa is one of the leaders of the rebels, and Sophie is one of the agents. We've got the bad. They work for the Asteri, and they have no souls, and they do terrible things. Some of them are angels, like Hunt. Some of them are shifters. We've got the Harpy, the Hind, Pollux, the Hammer, and the Wolfhound, and Mordock. I can't remember. One of them is the code name. I can't remember. Baxian is the Hound, and I believe Pollux is the Hammer, and Mordock, I can't remember his name, his code name, or I've got him in Pollux backwards. And the Hind's name is Lydia. I do not remember the Harpy's name, and I wasn't about to sort through and see if it was in there. I don't think they really mention her as anything but the Harpy. Oh, and the Asteri, the main Asteri that we actually get to know, sort of, there's 6 of them, is Rigilus, Rigilus, I'm butchering that name, the all-powerful stars that are beings that rule the world with an iron fist. So this one starts up a few months after the last book finished. And while the main problem with the Asteri is still there, the problems that were in the first book are pretty much wrapped up, but they add a whole bunch of new things. You see the change and growth in all of the characters as they're dealing with all their things, all these new characters getting introduced. And like I said in the first one, and in some of other Sarah J. Maas's series, like, the romance isn't just towards Bryce and Hunt, although it does get very steamy between them, but we get to see some romance for a couple of the other characters as well, which is great. The pace is fairly even. Of course, it gets more exciting towards the end. It's written in third person, and it jumps around from the point of view of most of the main characters: Bryce, Hunt, Rune, Declan, Finn, and Ethan a few times. Sophie, mostly at the beginning. Therian, and yeah, I think that's it for the main characters that we're focusing on. And they all have their own little stories that intertwine, and, well, they're helping each other out, but they all have their own things that they have to deal with as well. There's actually a dragon in this. She is... I'm not exactly sure. She's very minor, this one. I don't know if she's going to play a major role in the next book or not. Oh, I forgot to mention the heads of the city. Like, there's the King of the Fae, which is Bryce and Rune's dad. And then there's the River Queen, which is Therian's boss. And then there's the Serpent Queen, and she's in charge of, they call it the Flesh Quarter. but it's mostly where all like the prostitutes and drug deals and things that you wouldn't be able to get normally, like the black market, is what she does, and she has a fight ring and stuff like that. And then there's the king of the dead, who literally rules over the dead. And there's a few. Those are the main rulers in the city, like and then the witch queen, but she doesn't really live in the city. But she becomes one of their friends, among other things. I'm sure there's. I'm trying my hardest not to say anything to do any spoilers. Oh, this book, definitely easy to do. I didn't notice anything overly predictable, but I did notice hints of stuff, like I can see where she got some of her ideas from for the book. At least I think I'm right. Who knows? It gave me strong emotions for sure. Happiness and joy and frustration. No major deaths in this one that made me sad, which makes me worried for the next one. For the finishing, it definitely ends on a cliffhanger. And I am so glad that I have the next book, because if I had read these before the next book came out, which only came out in February last month, I would have been freaking out, wanting to know what happens, and I'm worried that the third one is going to do that, because I think there's a fourth one coming. We will see what happens. But instead of being frustrated and going, it was excitement and like squealing and kicking my legs. I freaked out my cat. I was so excited when I finished this one because of what it hints at for the next book, and I was super excited, and I really don't want to spoil it for you guys. I can't wait to read the third one. I'm going to dive right into it, like, so excited. You cannot... If you're a fan of Sarah J. Maas and you've read these before and you're just watching my review because you wanted to know someone else's thoughts on it or whatever, you'll know what I'm talking about. Like, you have no idea. I'm so excited. I'm going to jump right in to the next one. But because it was a weekend and I had time to read this one, I had a long weekend. And I devoured it, but it's probably going to be a little bit longer before I can do the next one because I have to work. Adulting sucks. But anyway, 5 out of 5 stars. Chef's kiss to Sarah J. Maas. Such an epic book, such an epic story. I can't wait to learn more of the secrets and see what happens in the third book. Like, you have no idea. Like, I was literally, I'm not even over exaggerating, like squealing and kicking my legs, and I freaked out my cats because I was just overly excited. If you haven't read Sarah J. Maas's books, I suggest you start with her other series. Do not start with this one. Start with the Throne of Glass series or ACOTAR. Definitely read both of them before you read this series. 100%. I hope you enjoyed this review. I hope you enjoyed my excitement. I have had some 5-star reviews before, but nothing that, like, I'd rate it like 6 stars, seriously. I love her stuff. If either you love it or you hate it, or maybe there's a few people that find it meh, but whatever. Anyway, thank you for watching. Please click and subscribe, share if you feel like it, and I will see you guys in the next video.